Well, welcome. I want to welcome everybody here in the Penn Law community. We have alumni, we have faculty, staff, students. This really is a wonderful day here, both in the spirit and the history of Penn Law School. As you all look out to your left, my right, you note there's a new parking lot along Sansom Street, which suddenly appeared that Pepper Hall, that literally an architectural icon of the 1960s, is no longer with us, or at least it's in pieces and piles, as you see off to the right. Now, I know many of you are saying at this moment, may it rest in peace. But you just need to remember its destruction has allowed us to make history. With the symbolic groundbreaking, which occurred several moments ago, we have entered the last lap of truly a decade-long transformation of the Penn Law campus. When the magnificent new building is dedicated in a year and a half, we will have renovated and rebuilt every single part of this campus. And the result will be, and I say this quite candidly, it will be the nicest connected urban law campus in the United States. The nicest urban law campus. And I want to congratulate everyone here on that. Now, as many of you heard me say numerous times, Penn Law School is about people. Our faculty, students, alumni, and staff are the law school. Their excellence makes Penn Law School the premier interdisciplinary institution in the country. But the outstanding building that we are celebrating today not only embodies those unique strengths, but will nurture, develop, and deepen them for generations to come. So let me in a sense, point out to you that this really is what fine architecture is all about. Architectural values, in the end, are human values. And as Winston Churchill said, we shape our buildings, and afterward, our buildings shape us. In this sense, our new building captures who we are and who we will be. It symbolizes the supreme confidence in the law school's future. Over the last decade, we have expanded the faculty and academic programs here an unprecedented 50%, reflecting two quite distinctive strengths. The first is our extraordinarily interdisciplinary philosophy, which leads our students and faculty to really be at the forefront of some of the most pressing issues in our society. And the other special feature of Penn Law is our unique, collegial, yet professional environment. The law school campus has supported this integrated vision wonderfully, but it is literally run out of space for students, staff, and faculty. Our standing faculty are literally standing. And we're very happy we could have seats, at least for today, because we're all totally cramped. What this magnificent new building does is it solves these problems, but it also really takes us to a new level. With scores of new classrooms, offices, and study and lounge space, it will support our vastly expanded academic program, not only today, but over the next 20 years. Creates a light-filled environment which furthers intellectual engagement and professional collegiality, which really is our vision. So, before we go any further, what I'd like to do is ask everybody to look to your left, and we'll see what our future looks like. I think you'll agree, it's gorgeous. There are just an incredible number of deep felt thank yous that I think I and everyone else has to extend. To some extent, there are so many people who, but for their participation, their efforts, we would not be here today. Quite frankly, I feel a little bit like the Oscars. There are so many thank yous, but we'll top the Oscars in that we have for everybody, our prizes will be chocolate shovels that are edible that you can eat afterward. So where do I begin? First of all, let me start and acknowledge really the truly exceptional work of the architectural firm Kennedy and Violich. As you see this building, it's an incredibly challenging project to both keep the connection with Sansom Street, which is a beautiful, wonderful environment, and at the same time open up the law school both to the courtyard and support the friendliness within this community. So I want to first thank Frano Violich and Sheila Kennedy, the architects. They've really done a magnificent job here. I want to also thank the project management team led by Veit Kugel and Greg Bouchard, as well as to acknowledge all the colleagues at the Facilities and Real Estate Services that are led by Ann Papageorge. Let me note the university architect, David Hollenberg, and the members of his staff who really helped us find the absolutely perfect architect, oversaw the whole process, including a first-rate construction team at Hunter Roberts. So I also want to thank David Hollenberg, Mike Swiss in particular, and their colleagues. They've been willing, it's the highest honor to anybody, to put up with a group of lawyers for 2 years working on this project. And I have to say, I have to thank in particular also Joanne Verrier, the vice dean of the law school, who's been the conductor, the orchestra conductor of this entire project, sort of shepherding it through each phase. She's been involved in so many other projects around here, but she's really done a superb job as well. And finally, let me say, I want to acknowledge the chairs of the building committee, which really brought the entire community into involvement in participation and oversight of this architectural process. Professor Steve Burbank and Tom Baker chaired it. Joe Policarpo, Gary Clinton were very actively involved, and this is a building that the entire community really has taken ownership. So I want to thank all of you who've been involved in the administration of this. This has been great. Now, at this point, I'd like to turn with a series of very special thank yous to those people who've provided us with the resources for this. I was looking and I saw that the English architect Edwin Lutyens said, "There will never be great architecture without great patrons." And let me say, it took incredible, incredible financial support to reach the stage we are in today. That we were able to do this in the middle of a staggering recession on a really compressed schedule is amazing, and really words can't capture the significance of this. I think it says everything about the alumni of this law school and their love of the institution and their vision for the institution that we're able to build in this environment. So with that, I would like to start and turn the podium over to one of the lead donors who's here today, Paul Haga, member of the class of '74, who's chairman of the Board of Overseers, vice chair of the Americas Funds, which is the largest, second largest, I can never quite tell between you and Vanguard, mutual fund in the United States. But Paul and his wife, Heather, have made a major contribution to make this building possible. And I want to thank them both, as well as Paul publicly for all that they've done for the law school. Paul?
Mike, I see your promise not to call on anybody lasted about 3 minutes. That's typical of law school and me. Beth asked me to say a few words about what I remembered about Pepper Hall, and particularly room 100. And that was a tall order. I told her that I remembered a lot more about what was across the street from Pepper Hall. There was an Onion, had 35-cent Ortliebs on draft. Doyle's Deck had $2 pitchers. There was Smokey Joe's if you went about a block away. But then I became serious and said, you know, I don't remember that much about the buildings. I know the Law Review office was there, but you could subscribe to the Law Review, which was my relationship to it, without actually going to the office. So I had never seen that. But what I told her was, I don't remember buildings, I remember people at Penn. And when I've gone around and asked people, and I'm not the only one certainly, but I've certainly been part of it, you go around and you talk to people and you say, well, we're replacing Pepper Hall. They say, what's that? And then I say, it's where the dean's office is. And if they were fortunate, they don't know where that is. And then, of course, if I mention the bars, I'll say it's right across from that, and they will know it. But people really remember the people, and then they start, and immediately the conversations that I have with people about Penn, classmates, alumni, overseers, and others turns so quickly away from the facilities and back to the people that it's almost unbelievable how many of the professors they can name, how many of the classmates, and how many just incidents of dealing with people. I thought of that when I was out there hearing our architects talk about the building. They were talking about the sight lines and the medians and stuff, and they stopped just short of comparing it to a medieval cathedral, but they were headed there, believe me. But what it reminded me of, this is a building and this is a space about people, because it's all about bringing in the light. It's all about having really nice spaces to be together and to talk and work together and eat together. And it's all about connecting the rest of the courtyard. And I'm reminded when we first talked on the Board of Overseers about needing more space, the first thing we ruled out was expanding out of this little courtyard. That was grabbing something that was readily available but 2 blocks away for an office or a professors' offices or student lounges or anything, went right off the table immediately. And it's because of our own feelings and our own memories of the community we felt here. So thank you for picking up on that. It obviously was well conveyed to you and well understood. Mike never thanks himself, so I have to thank him. When we started this, Mike talked about standing faculty and a few other things and all the things we were doing, and it was just very clear that our space was not going to work. So we had we knew we had to do a capital campaign, so we had a feasibility study done, and they came back with some number like 60 million. And those of us around the table snorted at them and said, we can do this around this table without even going past the Board of Overseers. And I think Perry might have been missing from that meeting, because I remember turning to somebody and say, Perry will give it to her. Perry will do it. But we've more than doubled, almost tripled, the size of our capital campaign. We're almost there. And even with that, we separately decided to fund Pepper, because the original capital campaign had us doing some restoration work on Pepper, and then we quickly realized that it was not worth fixing up. It was only worth knocking down, and we're going to have wonderful facilities now that we've knocked it down. So Mike gulped several times as we kept raising the number, but here we are. He did it, and he did it about the rate of 3 times what the learned consultants told us we could raise. And I think that speaks all kinds of about about Mike, about Beth Brown, about everybody who's been involved in this, and in particular about Joanne and her vision of the building. She had to come back and talk to lawyers multiple times about what we could do, and none of us knows anything. This is our first time we've had hard hats in our lives. None of us knew anything about it, but we all had ideas, and we're just so proud of everything that's come out of this. So I'm going to close by thanking Perry and Donna again for their wonderful generosity. They made this pledge probably a year ago and didn't let us talk about it and didn't let us thank them publicly. We had to schedule a groundbreaking and naming ceremony just to get them to let us thank them publicly. So it's just wonderful to have you. They're great colleague on the Board of Overseers, and to the two of you, thanks for your generosity and your vision. This is just making this the finest law school campus, and I wouldn't even say urban, I would say campus in the country. Thank you, Perry.
Thank you, Paul. That was wonderful. I have to say, one of the great benefits of now my office is up on the 4th floor of the library. In my old office, I was right on Sansom Street. So when anybody from Penn Law School came out of the new DAC or one of the other bars, they'd come over and knock on my window. I'm sure it's a future chair of the Board of Overseers who was on that window over the years. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to Paul Levy, who is chair of our Bold Ambitions campaign. Paul's a member of the class of 1972 and chair of JLL Partners, and he spent several years leading our efforts in the campaign, which now with the goal of $175 million, of which obviously 33.5 of which is this building. Paul himself is a donor to this building, and he spearheaded the Levy Challenge, which was for naming offices, faculty offices in the building. And I'm glad to say, literally yesterday, we got a commitment for the 20th of the 20 faculty offices in the new building. So it has been a very successful challenge. So let me turn it over to Paul.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks to all of you for coming, and for those of you who have supported our efforts, a deep sense of gratitude and a warm thank you. I've spent over a decade involved at the law school, first as a member of the Board of Overseers, then as its chairman, and now as chair of the Bold Ambitions campaign. And it's been a great ride. I've had the pleasure of watching the law school under Mike's brilliant and energetic leadership evolve over time and define itself really as one of the best law schools in the country, particularly in its approach to interdisciplinary studies and just acknowledging the way the law moves into so many different parts of life. And everything we do, we don't even realize is affected by it. Every day you read the newspaper and you could be a constitutional scholar and not be up on all the issues. It's just remarkable how the extent to which in American life there's a palpable sense of the involvement of law. So it's very exciting. As Mike mentioned, the faculty has grown from 34 to 50. He's done a fantastic job with his colleagues in place, bringing new people on board. And you don't bring people on unless you have the funds to do that. And so there's been an awful lot of support in the community at large, and these new people have made a real difference. We've really become leaders in some of the more exciting areas of the law as well. Healthcare law, which is now everybody's talking about, debating. There's an awful lot to come. We'll see what it looks like, and we have every intention at Penn Law be an active participant in that dialogue. So there's a lot to happen there. Intellectual property is evolving in all kinds of ways, and we've built probably one of the best, strongest group of professors in that area. Our students, the students have been fantastic. All of us who are involved in the law school at this point continue to talk about how we couldn't have gotten in. Paul loves to joke about his relationship to the Law Review. I'm a brother of his in that regard. But the kids are fantastic. And I had the pleasure of meeting a number of them, as many of the overseers have. And the scholarship students that I've met are truly remarkable. I'll give you one small anecdote. I don't take too much time, but this is just a remarkable anecdote. We had a scholar program that I was involved in supporting, and one of these kids who had never gone to law school needed some additional funds, so he agreed to work as a research professor. Was it Steve Burbank who was it for, or was it? No, it wasn't for you, Morse. No. And I forget who he worked for. And Mike sent me the work product of this kid after the summer. And it was like this, but I opened it and I read it, and it was like reading a profoundly competent law review article by a person who had spent his whole life in the law. So I got the sense of the towering intellect. One of the first people in our scholar program went on to be a Supreme Court justice, Supreme Court clerk, one of the first in a long time. So we've had a remarkable run. The GPAs of the kids coming in have gone way up. The LSAT levels really are right up there with some of the schools we don't like to name. So I'm really very, very proud to be part of that, and I know my colleagues here are as well. This doesn't happen without money, and as both Mike and Paul Haga have mentioned, and of course Perry and Donna are here, and we thank them, it doesn't happen without money. So our campaign is $175 million. We've got 153 raised to date. We have 2 years to go on the campaign. We're feeling very good about it. And as you all know, we're living through a significant downturn. So to the extent that people like yourselves have reached in and contributed during this environment, it's especially appreciated and especially meaningful. And I will tell you, I'm also a member of the Board of Trustees of the university. The whole university is involved in the campaign. And basically, the university is doing very well. But we are really right up there at the top in terms of our percentage of attainment towards the goal. So we're very proud of that, not because we're competitive, but just because we need the money and we're moving ahead. I might add our endowment has grown significantly despite the capital expenditures that we've been making, and that also reflects the priorities of the alumni and the way they've allocated their giving. So we're very excited about that. We are, as Mike said, about $3 million short of the goal. So if anybody here is moved by today's ceremonies, you can reach him. I do want to thank specifically, again, some of the people who've already been acknowledged. Donna and Perry have been extraordinarily generous. I might add, not only have they contributed to this project, but before this project, they've been also very, very generous. So we really appreciate that, and I want to thank you once again. Paul and Heather Haga have both named the GOAT and the large auditorium in the new building. That area will bear their name, and I tell you, I couldn't be happier to be succeeded as chairman of the board by Paul. His enthusiasm is great. His energy is great. His powers of arm twisting are fantastic. And he's really been a terrific spearhead here. I'd also like to thank Osagi Imasoge and his wife Lasagna, who have been here, and Osagi is a member of the Board of Overseers as well, and we very much appreciate your support. It's been great to get to know you, and you've been a wonderful colleague, and we thank you so much. In honor of their support, the entrance of the new building will be named in their honor. So as you come in, this is the gentleman and this is the lady to whom we owe that. And finally, I'd like to thank, well, two other people, Shannon Spector and Tom Klein. We thank you for making our new courtroom possible. Are you here? They're not here. And finally, John Barrelson, who has been an early supporter and for whom the lobby of the new building will be named. Thank you so much, John. Without all of you, this project would not have happened. Finally, Jeff Brotman and his family are here, and we thank you for your support and in naming the new faculty office. Thank you very much. And finally, I'm supposed to say finally, I want to thank Mike Fitz, but really the person whose name is not mentioned sufficiently is Beth Brown, who has been the real workhorse of this campaign. I don't do as much as I think I should, but Beth does more than she should do. And she and her team, spread throughout the room, have been fantastic. You've been relentless, you've been optimistic, you've been energetic, you've done it all with a nice touch. I would say a steel hand and a velvet glove, but she knows how to ask, and she does it very well. And finally, we really have to thank Mike, who not only has contributed personally to the campaign, but has set forth a vision for the law school around which everybody has rallied. Paul's comments about the building being a place where people can be and a place that people remember people more than they do the name of a particular hall. No offense, Perry. But that's right. And I think Mike is a person who will live in the history and the minds of those of us involved in Penn Law for a long time. It's been just a fantastic, fantastic experience. You have never faltered, and we really appreciate it. So thanks for everybody. And this is Beth's line. She wants to, I'll see you in the Levy Dean Suite in 2012.
Wow, I think you can see from the two Pauls why the law school has been so successful. The alumni and the Board of Overseers have simply been unbelievable in their support for this institution, and we've seen the difference. It really is extraordinary. I do want to just briefly, before I disclose the worst-kept secret in the world about the naming of the new building, just so you know, it will be 40,000 square feet. It will more than triple the usable space, close to quadruple in the footprint. It will have a dramatic, welcoming entrance, which will open up to the courtyard. There'll be a bridge, as we've seen, across the Goat, a green roof that will go from Silverman as well as get us in the new building. It will have a two-story, two-tier auditorium in which we'll finally be able to have the entire law school entering class meet for events like lectures and the Kitty Cup. And it will be suffused with light, as we've heard throughout. And it will be finally LEED certifiable, one of the only law school buildings in the United States that's LEED certifiable. So it truly is an architectural gem, a fitting home for a great law school. So now, we've been calling this for months the Sansom Street Project, and we thought it needed a real name. But that obviously is about to change. The building down the hall, which will be the pulse now of the law school, will be known as Golkin. You know, what can I say? I can remember it was, I guess, about 2 years ago when this was an idea. I went and I sat down with Perry and I said, you know, would you support this? And it was a time when I don't think anybody thought we could do this. And Perry and Donna stepped up and said they would be lead donors for this project. It was incredible because given the moment, given what was going on, and everything else followed from that in terms of other overseers and other alumni who really, in a sense, rallied on board, and as they say, the rest was history. I can't say, sort of enough about Perry. He really epitomizes what the law school is all about. We talk about people who cross professional boundaries. That's exactly what Perry did, both in practicing now and now working as a partner at KKR. He's a member of the Board of Overseers and the trustees, and he's been involved in the law school in so many different activities in so many different ways. I think he understands what we're about. He represents the DNA. I just want to give you one example, which is this year, Perry taught a class here at the law school, joint between Wharton and the law school, where he grouped students together. He had 40 students from the law school and 40 from Wharton. I encourage everybody to go read the course evaluations for that class. They're online. We make them available. It was a spectacular class, and they talked about his dedication both to the students and what they got out of the course. And it really shows, I think, both his love for this institution and his caring about it. When I came to him, he understood, I think, as well as anybody, the need for this building. And I really, out of love, he and Donna supported it. I should note he has 3 degrees from Penn, 1 from the law school, and he also won the Keedy Cup when he was a law student here. Now, Donna, I should say, is a graduate of the Wharton School, a certain business school across campus. But we forgive her, I should say, and I mean this genuinely. I view Donna as an honorary, a real graduate of the law school. She really cares about this place like few other people. And obviously it was their commitment very early on which made this all possible. So I want to thank them now for their support and allowing us to name this wonderful new building after them. So let's give them a round of applause. Harry, Donna, do you want to say something?
It's always tough to follow 3 eloquent Penn Law graduates speaking. And it's interesting what people remember. And let me start off by saying, and I speak on behalf of both Donna and I, that we really have it backwards. I mean, there is really no thanks that need to be given to us. I mean, this is really about us thanking Penn and thanking the law school. I mean, it's the other way around. I mean, this is, we bleed red and blue. And this was not something that doesn't give us tremendous pleasure, just as Mike referenced the class. I got much more out of the class than the students did. I mean, it is truly a pleasure. And I spotted Professor Lesnick at the back of the room, and he taught ethics when I was here. He taught me ethics. He probably doesn't remember me. I probably said not one word in the class. But, you know, we're taught values. We're taught giving back. I mean, that's what the community part of this is all about. So, as I said, we've got it all backwards, but I can only thank everybody here and the community for what it's given to us. Now, in terms of a few remarks, which I was asked to make, of course, these guys have covered just about everything. I will tell you some of my recollections of the process. And what I think about, and since I'm fortunate in being a trustee as well, you know, I've heard Amy Gutman say, you know, Penn does more with less. Well, the epitome of that is, of course, Mike Fitz, who has over the last 10 years done more with less. And he talks about this will be the completion of really the whole renovation of the campus. And I still remember, and I don't remember the $60 million meeting. I might have been absent. But I do remember when this subject came up. and Mike comes in, and he always called himself the hammer and nails dean because all the other deans were building buildings, and he deemed them crane 1 buildings or 2 crane buildings. And the hammer and nails dean came into the overseers and basically said, we need to do some work. But since he wanted to do more with less, the proposal was very modest. Now, the problem, of course, is if you walk in with a proposition to a bunch of Penn-trained lawyers, many of whom have been involved in business, then the questions start. And through the Socratic method, many, many people, and I'm sure some of the overseers who are here remember that, it became obvious, painfully obvious, that it wasn't simply a restoration we needed, but we needed a major project. So, of course, watching Mike and Beth at the time, where they're saying, oh, my God, where are we going to get the money? There was a real challenge to taking on that project. But from my standpoint, the fact that Donna and I could contribute, it's just something where, of course, we want to contribute to setting up the school for hopefully the next 10, 20 years, whatever. I don't think we should call Mike the 1 crane dean. I think we should go back and talk about the 1 community dean, because that's really what it's all about. And I have not been the chair of the overseers, so I'm not going to go through the list of thank yous that my colleagues did before, but I think this is really about, thanking all of the people who work at the school, the administration, and all of the faculty, and all of the students that contribute. It's really about everybody doing their part, and we were able to do our part. And if it was up to me, I would probably have deferred the naming for another 10 years and not had a ceremony like this, but we really do appreciate it. We really thank you, and it's tremendously exciting to see what this is going to turn it into, and I agree with the statement that's made, is I can't think of a law campus that's going to be a better place to go to school than the one we have, and hopefully that helps us build our community in all respects. So thank you very much.
Well, what can I say? Perry and Donna, it's been wonderful, and I can't thank you enough, and I know everybody in this room can't thank you enough. This has been a wonderful day, and I want to point out that, in a sense, repeat what has been said time and time again. What makes this law school great is the people in this room. It's the community, alumni, faculty, staff, students. It's the connections between all of us that make it great. It creates the energy, the excitement, the bonds that make Penn Law School really different than any other law school in the country. And what this new building will do, and what the renovations will do, is simply deepen and broaden those connections. It will make this community even more special. And I really can't thank Perry and Donna and Paul Hagan, Paul Levy and Osagi and everybody who has really taken part, and all the members of the staff and faculty who've worked on this project. This is for you. I want to invite you all now upstairs so we can have a cocktail reception looking out on the new vacant lot on Sansom Street. Thank you all.